Many people naively think that fat shaming is only done by direct insults and ridicule. In actuality, modern society is simply permeated with this phenomenon. It is true that, in contrast to fat shaming, body positivity and body neutrality are thriving. However, fat shaming is still very prevalent. Many fat shamers veil their activity behind the mask of caring for the health of another person. They would argue that their caustic comments and hurtful recommendations add motivation. However, according to research, fat shaming does not help people get slimmer. On the contrary, shaming does fat people much more harm than good. Fat shaming makes people feel guilty about their condition, leading to depression, eating disorders, and sometimes even self-harm. People in almost any physical condition can become victims of fat shaming. You don't have to be obese. Sometimes even people that aren't heavy become the objects of ridicule. In order to resist fat shaming, it is important to understand what is really behind it. The truth is that most people do not care much about other people. What concerns, bothers, and motivates us is almost exclusively that which we feel in ourselves. It is very unlikely that a person who is completely satisfied with who they are and how they appear will engage in fat shaming. People who engage in this kind of shaming tend to perceive something of themselves in others. And when this happens, it generally occurs according to two different patterns of behavior. In the first pattern, the shamer recognizes something that annoys them about themselves, something that they fight against, and something they deny. And when they see something that evokes that quality that they despise, all the anger that they have built up inside is suddenly provided an outlet, and they transfer it onto another person. In the second pattern, the shamer sees someone behaving and treating themselves the way they would like to behave. For example, you are proud of yourself and live without incessantly worrying about the opinions of others. This is how they would like to live, but they can't. And their frustration at their inability to live in the way that they want is once again transferred onto another person. So remember that fat shaming is a sign of dissatisfaction with someone's own life. The more a person is pleased with themselves, the less they are irritated by the bodies of the people around them. And accordingly, the less they will try to assert themselves at someone else's expense. Knowing this can change the way you see other people's comments. Should you care what toxic people who run away from their own lives think of you? The ability to defend your own boundaries will be important when faced with fat shaming. In many ways, the same rules work here as when you are dealing with toxic people. Firstly, if you feel like the person engaging in this kind of behavior is doing it to manipulate you, you should try to make the conversation open and direct. Many people are not ready to say something unpleasant directly to another person's face. They hide behind half jokes and semi-veiled hints and tend to retreat if what they are actually doing is brought to light. If you are shamed directly, then you can clearly express that this kind of treatment is unacceptable. It violates your boundaries. After all, your body and everything connected with it is your business and yours alone. If after stating your boundaries, the sarcastic comments continue, then you should think about whether it is worthwhile for you to continue any kind of dialogue with someone clearly intent on humiliating you. The main thing in all of this is to remember the state of your body concerns you and you alone.